Romanticism is one of the most important historical events of all time. Unlike a lot of what gets called history, Romanticism it refers to the birth of the new sets of ideas. It's about mindset and way of feeling.
Romanticism began in Western Europe in the mid of 18th century in the world of artists, poets, and musicians, changing how millions of people look at nature, children, love, sex, and work. Romanticism is best understood as a reaction of the birth of the modern world.
So why it is called romantics? Well, how the word romantic came to be applied to this period is something of a puzzle. Romantic means sentimental. Lyricism and the expression of personal emotions are emphasized. Feelings and sentiments are very much present in romantic works.
The Romantic period began roughly around 1798 and lasted until 1837. Well, the iconic period is when the French Revolution occurred that ends King Louis XV's reign and the monarch system entirely. Then, the start for this drama period itself was marked with the work, first Johann Wolfgang Faust in 1808, Alexander Dumas' The Wedding and the Funeral in 1826, and Victor Hugo's Ruy Blas in 1838.
What makes the works belong to Romanticism? First, emphasis on emotion and individualism. A general exaltation of emotion over reason and of the senses over intellect. Second, the works look seems have more freedom than the other era. A new view of the artist, whose creative spirit is more important than strict adherence to formal rules and traditional procedures. Third, showing how an imagination can go in a unique way toward arts. An emphasis upon imagination as a gateway to transcendent experience and spiritual truth.
On the Romanticism era, there are 10 traits or key that makes a literature work belong to the Romantic era. The 10 traits are: first, glorification of nature. It means that they can explore and write anything about nature without worrying about rules and restrictions in their works. Second, awareness and acceptance of emotion. When we read the work from this period, we can see that the feelings of the poet or writers are described in all forms including romantic, fear, sorrow, and loneliness. 3. Celebration of artistic creativity and imagination. The writers or author in the Romantic era explored the importance of imagination and the creative impulse. 4. Emphasis on the aesthetic beauty. The Romantic literature not just explores the theme but also the aesthetic beauty of people, mostly beauty of women. 5. Theme of solitude. Many writers or authors of the Romantic era believe that creative inspiration came from the solitary exploration in loneliness.
Focus on exoticism and history. Poems, prose, and other work from the Romantic era touch on the antics and gift of ancient culture of the world. Example work of Percy B. Shelley's poems, Ozymandias, which likely describe the king of ancient Egypt. 7. Spiritual and supernatural elements. The authors from the Romantic era also explore the dark side of emotion and the supernatural entity such as the contrast between life and death. 8. Vivid sensory descriptions. The use of vivid sensory, are we now familiar with the usage of simile and metaphor, as well as visual imagery and other sensory details. 9. Use of personification, which means bring up non-humans think like humans. The works also personify feelings like love and states like death sometimes. 10. Focus on self and autobiography. This era mostly explored the self of the writer. We can see autobiographical influences on some works such as prose and poems in this era.
In the Romantic era, there are some major playwrights that have a big contribution for the literature's library. They are Johann Wolfgang, Alexander Dumas, Victor Hugo, Sir Walter Scott, Mary Shelley, Honoré de Balzac, Gustave Flaubert.
Aside from drama, there are some playwrights who also contribute to the English literature, such as making novels, short stories, poems, and other forms of written works. They are Edgar Allan Poe, Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, Louisa May Alcott, William Wordsworth.
Here are the famous works of Romanticism. Novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther in 1774. The Count of Monte Cristo and the Three Musketeers in 1844. Les Miserables in 1862. Art, Morning in the Riesengebirge, The Hay Wain, The Libyan Horse, Dante and Virgil in Hell. Music, Symphony No. 9, Symphony No. 5 in flat B major, Symphony Fantastic, Waltz in D flat. Poem, My Heart Leaps Up, Ode to a Nightingale, and Darkness.